Why human dies. Every life follows a natural cycle: birth, growth, aging, and eventually death. But death is not the end of the story. Just as the setting sun gives way to a new dawn, our earthly end is the doorway to something greater. Death is not the final chapter, it is the beginning of eternity. Life on earth may end, but the soul continues, just as a seed must fall to bring new life. Death is not the end of a doorway to eternity. Human beings die because our bodies are not built to last forever. Every part of us, from our cells to our organs, has limits. Here are the main reasons. Cellular aging. Each time our cells divide, they get a little older. Over time, DNA damage builds up, telomeres, in the ends of chromosomes. Human beings die because our bodies are not built to last forever. Every part of us, from our cells to our organs, has limits. Here are some reasons. Cellular aging. Each time our cells divide, they get a little older. Over time, DNA damage builds up. Telomeres, the end of chromosomes, shorten, and cells stop functioning properly. Wear and tear on the body. Our organs and tissues slowly wear down from use, stress, toxins, and diseases. The heart, brain, kidneys, and other vital systems eventually lose efficiency. The immune system declined. As we age, the immune system weakens, making us more vulnerable to infections and cancers. Diseases and accidents. Illnesses like heart disease, cancer, strokes, sometimes accidents or injuries can end life before old age. Natural life cycle. Just like all living beings, plants, animals, humans, we are part of cycle of birth, growth, decline, and death. Death makes room for new generations, allowing life to continue. Some people look at this spiritually, seeing death not just as the end, but as passage or transformations. The natural life cycle means that every living thing follows a pattern: birth, growth, reproduction, decline, and death. It's the way life sustains itself on earth. Here's how it plays out for human. 1. Birth. Life begins with conception and birth. A new human enters the world dependent on others for survival. 2. Growth and development. As we grow, our bodies and minds develop, learning, adapting, and becoming strong enough to live independently. 3. Reproduction, continuing life. Adults often pass on life through children, ensuring the human race continues. 4. Maturity and contribution. In this stage, humans contribute to family, community, and society, shaping the world for the next generation. 5. Aging. Over time, the body wears down, energy decreases, cells stop repairing as efficiently, and health becomes more fragile. 6. Death. The natural end of the cycle. Death allows a new life to take place, keeping balance in nature. Without it, there would be no room or resources for new generations. Spiritual meaning of death. Death has a passage, not an end. Many faiths and spiritual traditions teach us when the body dies, the soul or spirit continues. The body returns to earth, but the true self, the spirit, lives on. Christianity, death is a doorway to eternal life with God for those who believe. Jesus said, I am the resurrection and the life. It's found in John chapter 11, verse 25. Death is seen as transition into God's presence. Renewal and hope. Spiritually, death is often tied to renewal. Just as a seed must die to become a tree, humans pass through death to reach new life. This reflects the cycle of resurrection, hope, and eternal purpose. Balance and purpose. Death reminds us life is precious and temporary. Spiritually, this truth calls us to live with meaning, to love, forgive, and grow closer to God or to the divine. From a Christian view, Jesus overcame death, showing that it does not have the final word. For believers, death is not to be feared, but trusted as part of God's plan. In short, nature teaches us death makes room for new life. Spirituality teaches us death is not the end, but a passage to something greater, eternal life, renewal, or transformations. The natural life cycle and spiritual meaning. Life on earth follows a cycle: birth, growth, aging, and death. In nature, a seed falls, dies, and from it, new life grows. Spiritually, death is not the end. It's a passage. The body returns to earth, but the soul continues. In Christianity, death opens the door to eternal life with God. In others' belief, it is transformation or renewal. Death gives meaning to life, reminding us to love, forgive, and live with purpose. Just as nature is renewed, so our spirit finds renewal in God. Death is not the final chapter, it is the beginning of eternity. Question: do you have to fear in death? Answer: no. You don't have to fear death. Here's why, from both the practical and spiritual perspective. 1. Natural part of life. Death is a part of natural life cycle. Just like seasons change or a seed grows and then returns to the earth. Death is simply a transition. It's not an enemy, it's a part of life's rhythm. 2. Spiritual perspective. Many traditions teach that the soul continues beyond the body. Death is seen as a passage, not an end. In Christianity, for example, believers are promised eternal life with God, so death is a doorway to something greater. Other spiritual beliefs see death as transformation or renewal. Living with peace. Fear often comes from the unknown, but if you trust in the cycle of life and in a higher purpose, you can focus on living fully and meaningfully. You can cultivate love, forgiveness, and hope. You can see death as a transition rather than a loss. 4th, mindset shifts. Instead of fearing death, you can accept it's natural. Prepare spiritually and emotionally. Use the awareness of life's finiteness to appreciate the presence and grow closer to what matters most. Death itself is not something to fear. It is a doorway to greater reality, a continuation to a journey in another form. So don't fear the end of life. Live with faith, love, and purpose, knowing that when this chapter closes, a greater story begins. Death is not the end, it is the doorway to eternity.